The last thing any man wants is a lying wife. It doesn't just hurt, it kills the relationship, one betrayal at a time. I never imagined I'd become the kind of husband who doubted his wife's every move. But then again, I never imagined Laura would become the kind of wife who gave me every reason to. I have been a devoted husband to my wife, a father of 2 amazing girls, and someone who's always believed in trust and honesty in a relationship. To me, trust is the backbone of any marriage. Without it, the whole thing just falls apart. That's what happened to mine. It started with small things. My wife, Laura, had always been social and outgoing, the kind of person who could light up a room. I used to love that about her, but over time, she started acting differently, especially when we were around certain people. The first time I noticed it, we were at a barbecue. There was this guy, a tall, charismatic black man, and Laura was suggestive with her statements to him, laughing a little too hard at his jokes, leaning in a little too close. It wasn't just friendly. It felt flirty. I was concerned, but I concluded that it was the alcohol kicking in. But then it happened again and again. She would find reasons to talk to men like him at parties or gatherings. She'd laugh at their jokes, touch their arms, and act like she wasn't standing right next to her husband. One time, she even did it in front of my friends. I was embarrassed and angry, but I didn't want to cause a scene. Instead, I waited until we were alone. That night, I asked her about it. I told her it made me uncomfortable and felt disrespectful. Her response? She laughed, said I was too serious and needed to relax. Her gaslighting hit hard. It made me question myself. Was I really imagining things? Was I being too uptight? But deep down, I knew I wasn't. I knew what I saw, and I knew how it made me feel. The trust one had in her started to shake. It wasn't shattered yet, but the damage was done. The worst moment came a few months later. One of my closest friends had come over for a casual dinner. We were all chatting, laughing, having a good time. Then I noticed it. The way Laura looked at him, the way she laughed at everything he said, the way she leaned in when he talked. It was subtle, but it was there. My friend looked uncomfortable, too, like he didn't know how to respond. After he left, I confronted her again. I told her that her behavior wasn't just disrespectful to me, but it was also putting our marriage at risk. She rolled her eyes, called me paranoid, and walked away. That night, as I lay awake in bed, I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. But I had 2 daughters to think about. They adored their mom, and I didn't want to rip apart their family. So, I stayed. I told myself I could work through it, that maybe I was overreacting, that maybe things would get better. Those small cracks in trust turned into a gaping hole. It wasn't just about the flirting anymore. It was about the fact that I couldn't look at my wife without wondering if she was lying to me. And that was worse than anything else. The months that followed were tough, and not in the usual work stress kind of way. Laura started talking about wanting to enjoy life a little. At first, I didn't think much of it. Who wouldn't want to unwind from time to time? But it quickly became clear that this wasn't about a spa day or a weekend with family. Laura wasn't asking for a breather. She was asking for an escape from our life, our responsibilities, and frankly, from me. She said she felt trapped by marriage and motherhood. I'm still young, she told me one evening. I don't want to wake up one day and regret not living my life. That hit me hard. I tried to understand where she was coming from. I wanted to be the supportive husband, the kind of man who lets his wife have her independence. But after everything I'd seen, her flirty behavior, the way she acted around other men, I couldn't help but wonder, was this really about freedom, or was it an excuse for something else? When she brought up the idea of a girls' night out, my heart sank. Laura had never been the type to hang out late with friends, and now she suddenly wanted nights away, dressed up and out of reach? It didn't sit right with me. I couldn't trust her to act right when she was alone, not after the way she had been behaving. But what choice did I have? Saying no would only make me seem controlling, and I didn't want to be that husband. So I gave in. But the pit in my stomach told me I'd made a mistake. One morning, after one of her so-called girls' nights, Laura came home late. She claimed she had stayed over at a friend's place because it got too late to drive back. I couldn't hide my frustration anymore. While the kids were busy eating breakfast, I told her we needed to talk. "Laura," I said, keeping my voice as calm as I could, "I don't feel comfortable with this whole freedom thing you've been chasing lately. You're mother, and we have 2 daughters who are watching everything you do. You're supposed to be their role model." I didn't expect her to react the way she did. She laughed. "Oh, come on," she said, rolling her eyes. "You need to relax. You're such a boring homebody. Maybe if you freed up a little, we wouldn't be having this conversation." Her words cut deep. I wasn't just her husband. I was the father of her children. And here she was mocking me, as if my commitment to our family made me less of a man. I didn't say anything else that morning. I just nodded and walked away, but inside I was crumbling. I wasn't just hurt, I was losing respect for her, and I could feel my love for her slipping away. That conversation stuck with me. It wasn't just what she said, it was the way she said it. The more I thought about it, the more I realized something had to change. I couldn't live like this anymore, constantly doubting her, constantly feeling like I wasn't enough. And what about our daughters? What kind of example was Laura setting for them? Would they grow up thinking this was how a marriage was supposed to be? That it was okay to disrespect your partner and put yourself first at the expense of your family? By the end of that week, I made a decision. If Laura wasn't willing to change, then I would have to. I didn't want to stay in a marriage where I was disrespected. Divorce wasn't something I ever thought I'd consider, but I knew I couldn't endure this any longer. I had to protect myself and my girls from the damage Laura was causing. When I decided to visit my lawyer, I was already at my wit's end. The thought of staying in the same house with Laura, knowing she might be sabotaging the marriage, felt unbearable. But I wasn't just thinking about myself, I was thinking about my 2 little girls. What would happen to them if we separated? Would they be safe with her? Would they grow up thinking her behavior was normal? The lawyer listened to my story without interrupting. When I was done, he leaned back in his chair and said, "You need proof?" Those 3 words hit me harder than I expected. I knew he was right. He explained that for me to win custody of the girls, I had to show the court that Lara's behavior wasn't just hurting me, but was also harmful to our children. He said, "Judges don't care about emotions, they care about evidence. Get solid proof, and it'll speak louder than anything you can say in court." I nodded, but inside I felt like I was sinking. Proof meant digging into her life, confirming the things I didn't want to be true. I knew I couldn't just walk into a courtroom with nothing but my suspicions and a broken heart. I had to protect my daughters, even if it meant stepping into a role I never thought I'd have to play. Later that night, I sat in my car outside an electronics shop. I'd spent the afternoon researching GPS trackers, and now I was holding one in my hands. It was a small, black device that could fit in my palm. The salesman had shown me how to use it, how to attach it to a car, how to check the location from my phone. It was simple enough. The first chance I got, I slipped the tracker onto her car. I crouched down next to the car, attaching the device underneath. It clicked into place easily, but I stayed there a few extra seconds, making sure it was secure. One evening, Laura walked into the house with a smile so bright you'd think she just won the lottery. She dropped her purse on the counter, kicked off her shoes, and started rambling about her amazing girls' night out. I watched her carefully, nodding at all the right moments, but inside, I was anything but calm. I already knew the truth. I had been following her movements, and what I saw that night was enough to make my decision clear. A few hours earlier, I had tracked her car to a bar. She was supposed to be out with her friends, and I was determined to see if that was true. Sitting in my own car across the street, I waited, but kept asking myself, what if I'm wrong? What if I'm overthinking? But deep down, I knew I wasn't. From my vantage point, I could see her through the bar's large glass windows, sitting with a group of women. They laughed, ordered drinks, and seemed like they were having a normal night out. I almost let out a sigh of relief. Maybe I had been wrong about her after all. But just as I was about to start my car and drive back home, something happened. About 40 minutes after she arrived, her phone buzzed. I could see her pick it up, glance at the screen, and her face changed just for a split second. Then, she quickly stood up, said something to her friends, and walked out of the bar. I watched her head straight to the car park. She paused for a moment looking around, and then a man stepped out of a black SUV parked a few spaces away. I watched. He wasn't someone I know. I grabbed my phone, keeping it steady as I took photos of them. She didn't even hesitate. She walked right up to him, and they exchanged a few words before she climbed into his car, leaving hers behind. My chest tightened, but I forced myself to stay focused. I followed them, careful to keep my distance so they wouldn't notice me. They drove to a hotel on the edge of town. I parked a safe distance away and snapped a few more photos of them walking into the building together. That was all the proof I needed, but I wanted more. Once they were inside, I called one of Lara's friends, the same one she had been sitting with at the bar. I kept my tone casual, acting as if I was just checking in on my wife. "Hey," I said, "I just wanted to see if Lara's still with you guys. She's not answering her phone and I'm getting worried." Her friend didn't even hesitate. "Oh no, she left a while ago," she said. "She told us you called her and asked her to come home." I kept the conversation going for a few seconds longer, thanking her and pretending I was relieved. But in reality, my anger was bubbling just under the surface. I recorded the entire call. It was the final nail in the coffin. With the GPS logs, the photos, the videos, and now this call, I had everything I needed. When Lara walked into the house that evening, smiling and carefree, she had no idea what was coming. She thought I was clueless, but little did she know her lies had finally caught up with her. The next morning, she walked into the kitchen like nothing had happened. She was humming to herself as she poured coffee. I sat at the table, watching her. I thought about what she'd done, but I didn't let it show. Not yet. She was oblivious, completely unaware that I knew. I had followed her last night. I had seen everything. The GPS logs, the photos, the recording, I had it all. Every detail of her betrayal was sitting in a folder on the table, right in front of me. When she finally sat down to eat, I slid the folder across the table toward her. "You might want to take a look at this," I said, my voice steady, almost too calm. Lara frowned, setting her coffee down with a soft clink. "What's this?" she asked, picking up the folder. "Open it," I said. Her smile faltered the moment she saw the photos. Clear shots of her meeting the man in the car park, entering his car, and later, walking into the hotel together. Her hands began to shake as she flipped to the final piece of evidence, a printed transcript of my call with her friend, where her lie about me calling her home early was exposed. What is this supposed to mean?" she stammered, her voice trembling now. "You tell me," I replied, leaning back in my chair. My heart was pounding, but I didn't let it show. She tried to deny it, of course. "It's not what it looks like. He's just a friend." I wasn't even. "Don't," I cut her off, my tone firm. "Don't insult my intelligence, Lara. The photos don't lie, and your friend? She doesn't lie either, apparently." Her face turned pale. She was panicking now, her confident, carefree demeanor completely gone. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. "You've been lying to me for months," I continued. "Mocking me, disrespecting me, acting like I'm some kind of fool. But I'm done, Lara. This," I pointed to the folder, "this is all I needed to move on." She sat there, stunned, tears starting to form in her eyes. For once, she had nothing to say. The reality of what she had done was staring her in the face, and there was no way out. I stood up, leaving her sitting there in silence, the weight of her betrayal crushing her. I didn't need to yell or argue. The evidence spoke louder than any words I could have said. Later, when Lara begged me to reconsider, I just stared at her. I'd warned her months ago that this path wouldn't end well. She promised to change, said she'd be better for me, for the kids, for our family, but I wasn't buying it. Not this time. Words are cheap, and she'd spent months proving hers meant nothing. I told her flat out, "Laura, this won't work anymore. We're done." At first, she seemed to accept it, maybe thinking I'd soften with time. But when she realized I was serious, she flipped. That's when she decided to drag me to court. She was determined to fight the divorce, to battle me for the kids, for whatever power she thought she could still hold over me. It was messy. Lawyers were involved, accusations were thrown around, but I stayed focused. I had the evidence, and I wasn't going to lose my daughters to someone who thought enjoying life meant throwing away her responsibilities. In the end, I won custody. It wasn't easy, but it was worth it. I wasn't just fighting for me. I was fighting for my kids' future, for the example they'd grow up seeing. They needed to know that some actions have real consequences, even for their mom. But the court battle wasn't the end of Lara's downfall. The moment her lover found out that their affair had been exposed, publicly and humiliatingly, he dropped her like a bad habit. Turns out he was married too. His wife came storming into the picture, furious and ready to tear into Lara. And she did. She confronted Lara, made it clear just how much destruction she had caused. It was brutal, and I can't say I felt sorry for Lara. Suddenly, Lara found herself alone. No husband, no kids, no lover. The friends who used to cheer her on and encourage her reckless behavior, they disappeared too, one by one, when her situation got too messy for them to handle. I imagine it wasn't so fun anymore when she didn't have a family or a fake romance to flaunt. I thought back to the time she mocked me, called me a boring homebody like it was an insult. All because I valued stability and family over meaningless thrills. Funny how that worked out for her. Now she's the one stuck with nothing, while I have my daughters, my peace, and a chance to rebuild. Karma has a strange way of showing up when you least expect it. I didn't plan for all of this to happen the way it did. I just wanted out of a toxic relationship and a better life for my kids. But seeing how it all unfolded, I can't help but think some lessons are meant to be learned the hard way. For Lara, it was a lesson in what happens when you throw away the people who truly cared for you, all for a temporary thrill. And as for me, I've moved on. I'm focusing on raising my daughters right, showing them what respect and responsibility really look like. If there's one thing I've learned through all of this, it's that trust is fragile. Once it's broken, it's almost impossible to piece back together. Respect works the same way. It has to be earned and nurtured, not taken for granted. And boundaries? They're not just important, they're necessary. I should have set them sooner. I should have stood my ground the first time I saw Lara cross the line. If you're in a relationship that feels toxic or one-sided, let this be a warning. Don't ignore the signs. Don't let yourself believe that things will get better if all the evidence points the other way. You deserve respect, you deserve trust, and you deserve love that doesn't make you question your worth. And if you're in a relationship that lacks those things, don't be afraid to walk away. It might just be the best decision you'll ever make. It certainly was for me.